Hugo. Hugo Cabret.
In this picture, it's a dream sequence. It's not even really like, it's not like it's the climax or anything, but it's this dream sequence. And but it has to be terrifying. It has to be as terrifying for Hugo, or I should say for the audience, as it is for Hugo. In the real shot, or the real historical photograph, you could see that the weight of the train, the thing weighed probably a couple hundred tons, but then the weight of it actually crushes this balcony. You can see actually that it probably got out to a sort of a cantilevered point, then landed, and then of course noses in. In scale, we chose quarter scale. I felt that the train in real life isn't really that terribly large. So the engine and all the cars ended up being about 16.5 feet long. So really nice scale for the debris and the action, but not so big that it was impossible to manage. So we estimated how fast roughly the train would be going. In the historical data of how the train originally crashed, they were late coming to the station. So there's a series of waypoints that the engineer would start applying brakes, and he sort of held off on that. This again is back in 1895, and so by holding off on applying the brakes, the train came into the station much quicker. When they did apply the brakes, they had either I think it was like a pneumatic or hydraulic cylinder fail, and or valve fail, and then the train just literally had no brakes. So we ended up using a relatively large pneumatic piston. It's sort of what's called a cable cylinder. To give you an example of how much force was on this is usually used for full-scale car throws. They'll take full-scale automobiles and use this cylinder in physical effects to throw cars.
Clear. 3, 2, 1.
The trick was finding materials that break in the correct scale. We used real glass for all the windows. All the windows had separate window panes for the impact. All the lead work that was done for the window mullions and muttons was all done out of real lead and all hand soldered. If we had to do a third take, we could have easily done a third take. We had to do a fourth take because what's breaking in the shot is a small section of balcony, a small section of railing, some window panes. I mean, certainly painstaking to build all these components, but the bulk of the structure of the building, this train station, which was about 20 by 20 feet, and the bulk of the train survives every crash. I'm simplifying it a bit, but you have a table full of components that get plugged back in so that once you do your crash, it's like, okay, strip out all the breakaway and put a new piece in. One of the things I really enjoy about the miniature work still is that there is a certain amount of imperfection and a certain amount of spontaneity that happens. And that's what makes those shots look that much more real.